Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Node Nerds. Today we are going to talk about time management. What works for us, what doesn't work for us, who has tips and tricks. And I'm really bad at time management. So I'm interested to see what my fellow colleagues here, what their answers are. Who wants to go first?
I've been long arming for over 20 years now, and I've gone through a lot of learning curves in order to manage my time better. When I first started my business, it was all about getting all the quilts done. And I would, still quilt on Christmas Eve to get that last quilt done. I no longer do that because, it's stressful and you get burned out. So it is much better to section things out and mostly allow time for your own projects. Because if you allow yourself to have time to be creative, you're much better for your customers. Um, because it doesn't feel like a job and you can actually get excited for most of the quilts that come in. Um, and I'm a old-fashioned person. I use a paper calendar and I write things out, write daily things in because I always want to go back and see that I did actually accomplish things. So I put check marks, which are very rewarding. But then I also have weekly and monthly goals. Um, and sometimes they get carried over to the next month, but that's okay. As long as you keep in mind why was that important to you. And I also keep notes of, I have different areas. I have a gamma area for my job, customer, and then myself. And when I think of something I want to do, a goal, I break it down into different steps. I write that out. And in order to have smaller chunks, I do much better than accomplishing the goal if I break it down because it's overseeable. It's not so stressful. That's all I got. It works for me mostly.
I love it.
I like that a lot too. I struggle with time management a lot. ADD, I'm easily distracted, 5,000 things going on. You're working from home, so it's easy to be like, oh, yeah, let's just toss in some laundry. And then all of a sudden, 3 hours later, you're like, oh my gosh, what have I been doing? I haven't touched that quilt at all in 3 hours. I like how you said about breaking down the goals, Ava. I just recently did that on my board here. Not that you can see, but it's on the board. I have this week's goals for Gamel, this week's goals for like my quilting business, and then this week's personal goals
That's
for
right.
me. And I just started doing that. And I'm like, you know what? I didn't finish that list. So it's just going to stay up there till next week. I love lists. I have lots and lots and lots of lists.
I
They're
do too.
everywhere. That I'm constantly like, okay, maybe I'll put my list on Trello or maybe I'll put it over here. So I haven't found like the tried and true system yet, but I'm starting with the goal thing like you have, Ava. So I really like that.
When I was in grad school, I was the guy who wrote his paper the night before, right? I was like, stay up all night, just knock it out. And when I got close to my dissertation, you can't write a dissertation in one night. That doesn't work. And so I really had to break it down and be like very diligent about, I'm going to write a paragraph a day, minimum, a paragraph a day. So when I started quilting, I apply that to my long arming business, that I have to be in my studio for 15 minutes minimum, right? And there's something about like in 15 minutes, that doesn't sound like much time, but you can get a lot, you can get a quilt loaded maybe in 15 minutes. You can get a lot prepped in 15 minutes. You might get to knock out a block or two on a custom quilt in 15 or 20 minutes. And so for me, like those 15-minute, 20 minutes here and there add up very quickly. And pretty soon, when you do have time to work for half the day or a whole day on a quilt, it's already loaded. You've already got 3 or 4 blocks done. You're already that far ahead. You've already thought about it a little bit. And so for me, I don't know if it's a trick, but it works for me. that if I can, on those days when I really don't want to, or I've got a million other things to do, um, forcing myself to find that 15 or 20 minutes just to check in with my work um, is hugely beneficial for time management. And it's good to try to do them at the same time every day, I have found.
That's not going to happen for me.
It's really hard, but for me, trying to do it at the same time every day helps me to be honest and do them.
Mhm.
But to each his own, I'm sure.
Yep.
Hmm.
Tucker, what about you?
Oh boy. Well, time management exists only in my brain and normally never happens. But one of the things that I do, because I am a crazy person, and I will happily admit that I'm crazy, but one of the things that I like to do is when I get a customer quilt, I like to try to load it that day. Because if I load it that day, I get my best ideas when I see the quilt on the machine because I want to quilt it. So I get my quilt loaded and I give myself a deadline of when I want to start quilting. It might be, the next day or a few days later if it's something custom. But then I can, schedule it out that I know on this day I'm going to quilt this quilt. And that gives me a timeline to come up with what designs I want to put on that quilt and things like that. Because, like I said, I am crazy and I work best under pressure. So if I give myself that deadline in my head, then I can accomplish that quilt faster or, whatever. And it also gives me an opportunity to schedule it out and work on other things while I'm trying to come up with those ideas. But that's sort of the majority of what I do is just if I have, a project for Gamel, I schedule it out and I have a set day when I'm going to work on this project. The next day I'm going to work on this thing. I have that schedule written out for the week or for the month and I stick to it. I'm very much a creature of habit. If I
Okay.
have it written down on the calendar and it's for that specific time, that's what I'm doing. I might get sidetracked along the way, but I will have that project done by the deadline.
Angela.
Well, I've been quiet because I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not good at this. I struggle with it. But I think the one that is starting to work the best for me is breaking things down and writing them out. I got a new app that has like my day to day and I can see my month and all that. I used to put it on paper like Ava, but I found I don't know, just the alarms that I can set with the app and the bings and the reminders just help me kind of stay on track. Yeah, carving out some time slots. So, for instance, now I kind of, my customer quilts are, first part of the day when I'm fresh and ready to go, and then I'll do something creative when I'm starting to drag a little bit in the afternoon that kind of regenerates me, and then it's into sort of personal mom mode and dinners and all that fun stuff. And so it's a balance, and it's trying to find that balance. I think whatever works is probably for you is probably the best. I love the lists. I have to have lists too, but having that visual of what I want to tackle in a day has really helped me. And the check mark, like Ava said, it does. It's such a small thing, but it feels so satisfying when I can say,
Yes.
yes, I did that today. Yes, I did that today, and kind of like focus on that positive part of it. I'm a work in progress. I feel like I'm constantly trying to evolve how to find that balance between everything.
Well, but you also said something very important. You said family is it's a big part of
Yeah.
your life, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think when we talk about time management, we have to identify what our priorities are, first of all.
Mm.
Because, yeah, we all want to have quilting businesses, but we are in charge as to how big that business should be. We have all these other obligations. And so we are in charge. We really are. So
Mhm.
we can say either no to a customer, right? We can
Mhm.
say no,
Yep.
or we can explain that, yes, you're on the schedule, and I hope a month from now fits your time frame for your quilt, you know. So that takes a lot of stress away if we identify what it is that we want exactly, and how big of a portion all of those different things can take up, and
I
it's going to be out of balance because family is, however many percent, and then your job is next, and then client quilts are much smaller.
yeah.
So,
I agree, Ava, and I think one thing that you said that really resonated with me was when we all first started, I'm sure we said yes to everything. We were
Yep.
oh
quilting
yeah,
on Christmas Eve. We were,
Yep.
so the importance of setting boundaries, I think, is
Yes.
yep,
essential to like time management,
yep,
knowing how much you can accomplish in a healthy manner in a day.
yes,
True.
So that you don't lose kind of your internal balance and get burnt out and other things fall through the cracks and then you feel kind of crummy about it. But yeah, setting those boundaries and finding that word no is okay. It's okay. I think the biggest one too is like finding room to do our own quilts. It
Oh
sounds like
yeah.
we all have that problem a bit, and
Yep.
I've tried to schedule one a month. A friend suggested to me at least try and put in one a month,
Mhm.
but I need to write it down, I think, because it's the
Yeah.
first thing that goes
yeah,
if
Mm.
I can fit in, and adjust somebody to accommodate for somebody else. Um,
Mhm.
so I think I like Tucker's idea. I should just load it and then I have no choice. I've
Yeah.
got to do it before I can continue on my merry way.
It's on there.
Yeah.
So, Angela, we're
Yeah.
going to switch gears here for a second. You
Okay.
mentioned doing your own quilts,
Yeah.
and I want to check in on everyone's goals. Back in January, we said what our little quilting goals were going to be for the year, and yours was to start doing a little bit more hand guiding. And I remember this because I was like, yes, go hand guiding. I think all of us on the screen play on with hand guiding a lot. Some of us, like Ava, Tucker, more than the rest of us, but you were starting that journey. How's it going?
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. So we just talked about time management and how I'm not that great at it. So it's not advancing as much as I wanted to, but yeah, I mean, I've dropped in just like when I find that I just want to do like a little fill around like the back instead of digitizing it and doing all that. I've started to drop the belts and just do it. So I guess that's something. Yeah.
Yes.
But you're so right. You can all give yourselves some kudos. It can be much faster to just drop the belts and go. So I am doodling a lot because I'm so
Yes.
scared of trying it. So
awesome.
I am.
Good.
Yeah, you should see my meeting books now, you please.
Good. Yes.
That's great.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Don't
Uh,
tell the boss, but
no, I do it all the time in all the meeting notes. So
trying to get my ideas on paper. So hopefully when I do this, my brain will just go. So
It will.
yeah.
yeah, it will. Like we have the best of both worlds because you can do some computerized, some hand
Yeah.
guided. It's
Yeah.
awesome. Tucker, what was your goal? I'm sorry, I can't remember.
I believe I had to go back and look this morning.
Okay.
Okay. So we can already tell how this um but one of the two of my goals were to keep my studio a little bit more organized and to piece some of my own quilts. Well, the keeping the studio organized part, that's going a little bit better. I try when I work on something, I try to put it away right away. And if I don't put it away right at that moment, I try to do like a whole studio reset once a week. You know, before it was just I would clean everything up when I was annoyed and ready to throw everything away. But now that I'm doing it once a week, I don't feel like doing that every 5 seconds. So that has been a help. Also, being able to find some of my stuff, it's still you're sifting through mountains of stuff, but they're a little more organized.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the piecing of my own quilts, 50-50. Because now I'm working on these projects for latest thread. So we get to work on some creative projects, and the quilt that I have behind me, I put that one together from start to finish. So in my mind, I'm accomplishing that goal a little bit because this quilt is hanging up in my studio now. So I think I'm accomplishing that goal
I was gonna say it
a
looks
little
done
bit.
to me, Tucker. That's awesome.
That's
Well, it needs the
really
bonding. It's hanging up with pins stuck in the wall, but I just need to
okay.
pull the pins out and put the binding on.
It's all
Perfect.
right. It's pieced and it's quilted.
My goal this year, my New Year's, I wasn't in the episode, but my
Right.
New Year's resolution was to do more challenges, quilt challenges. I had participated in the Cherrywood Challenge every year, and I loved it. It was so fun to work on something really intensely that was really little, and it was also manageable. I could do that 20 minutes a day on it and get somewhere. And the quilt behind me it's all finished, and so I did do it this year, and I've been looking for some more challenges to do because it's a fun way to have a limited scope. You don't have to make a huge quilt. They've usually done some of the work for you. The fabric companies will say, here's some of the fabric, or here's a panel, or here's something to get you
Some
started.
guidelines, right?
Yeah. So it's not like you have to do it all yourself. And I struggle with the blank sheet of paper. If somebody's put some stuff on the paper for me, it's why I love long arming, because there's something there to play with. And so the challenges are great for that. And most of the time, they're not huge projects; they're small. And so, and they're things that I wouldn't necessarily make a jellyfish quilt. I wouldn't necessarily play with those colors, and it activates a different part of your creative soul, and that's really important. So I'm looking for challenges still, but I did one, and that's feels pretty good.
So I got the approach fee at the end of last year. Yay! And so my goal was to use those. And I've used every single one except for the Trapunto. I haven't had like a really close applique I need to get to or anything yet. I found that I knew I loved the spoon foot, excuse me, the couching foot just from being on tour and playing with it. I fell in love with the spoon foot. Like, had no idea how much I was going to love this thing. And then the regular foot, ruler foot, use it all the time. Open toe foot, I actually don't use as much. And Ava, I'm sorry, but I don't remember what yours was.
And I don't either, but I'm pretty sure because I always want to work on my own quilts to, make my own quilts. And I've been working on one. I'm really loving it because I got a kit and it was laser cut because I don't have all that time. Plus I don't enjoy the cutting part. So I got this kit that was laser cut, and I love it. And I try to work on it every day for a short amount of time. So I'm making good progress with that. Um, and the other thing I'm pretty sure I wanted to work on digitizing patterns. And I've been consistently working on that as well. I have to be careful because talk about a time suck, and really you don't want to stop. But
Right.
it's good for me to keep up with it. And I really enjoyed the process.
Me too.
So I think I'm doing okay with my goals.
Nice.
Well, we hope that all of you out there are doing good with your goals too. And hopefully something in this episode will help you with your time management if you need help with time management. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.